Hello everybody, my name is Notepad Anon and I write games for fun. So what are we doing today? Well, today we're going to be working on God-killing swords some more. And what has occurred since last time? Well, we scroll down here a little bit. Changed replenishment up a lot. No, this was the big one. I changed replenishment. Pretty much, like, the idea behind replenishment originally was, like, okay, you're using it to kind of restore yourself, and i.e. your core flame. I changed it a little bit, just because my fear was, from just a pure design perspective, is that people would overvalue the flame. And the struggle there would be, you want to preserve the flame so much because replenishment was still high, but you would never want to use it. It's a resource. It's the potion conundrum. Don't worry, I have this shitty potion from the start of the game. I never want to use it because I might need it later, and that later never really comes because you'd never want to use it. So what I did, I changed replenishment, and the idea became more. Replenishment is both your core flame as well as your wholeness. So let's say you take some wholeness damage and you use some of your core flame. You have to use that replenishment for both the flame and your wholeness. So if you have 12 replenishment, you can spend 6 to your wholeness or 6 to your flame. So it kind of becomes that kind of up and down of, like, where do you want to spend this? Because it's a limited resource, and you don't really want to just wait on it, because, like, what's more valuable to you? Someone who really has to use their core flame a lot may want to dump everything into their flame. Well, if you're not really confident, you may want to dump it into your wholeness. So the hope there, the dream, is that it encourages people to be a little bit riskier, and a little bit more conservative at the same time. So it's kind of a back and forth of like, you want to use this, cool, use it, but let's see. Domains, these were the same from last time. I just switched some things around just to make sure they're a little bit alphabetical. And this is Divinity Manifest. I did these last night. The idea behind Divinity Manifest, these are in your abilities, your special powers that you, for 15 CP, you can acquire. The Inheritor will always have access to it and be able to draw upon its power. They use our core flame to empower these, increasing their effort along with them to trigger others. So, what are they? Well, an application is your ability to, is your direct expression of you being able to do something. I have the ability to create items. I have the ability to dominate people of lesser thinking, i.e. servants. I can create territory. Like, I can just designate a place to say this is mine, and anything that enters it is going to have to face me. Cool. That's something that you can do. Applications are fairly broad, and I want to encourage people to be like, this is your base powers. These are like things that make you divine. Legend would be, in any other world, be called background, which is originally was called in Fate Lonely Dance. The idea behind legend is if you have it, you get a bump if it becomes relevant. So, for example, if the term beast killer ever becomes relevant, you get a +1. You pretty much get a little bonus to it. This doesn't seem like a lot, and the thing is, it's not supposed to seem like a lot. However, it's the difference between saying, I have A and you have A, but I have a legend saying that I have this, so I have an A+, so I'm going to defeat you eventually, rather than us being completely deadlocked. But these are these are going to pop up a lot. That's kind of the idea. They're your background, and that you are more able to use them. Perks are kind of the same thing, but they're intrinsic knowledge and bonuses the Inheritor possesses. And it's things like, I have wings. It has no immediate effect. It has no mechanical basis. The idea, though, is I have wings and can fly now. Cool. Can someone without wings, can they fly? Unless they have something that says they can. No, but you have them. And things like automatic regeneration. Automatic regeneration does not heal you. But it's the difference between saying, oh, well, yeah, you chopped my arm off, but I really don't give a shit. Like, it's going to regenerate immediately. You know, it's a way for you to express yourself effectively, as well as being able to use some of your abilities, interestingly. Kind of, as well as you being able to kind of refluff your abilities. It's kind of that idea of, hey, I have the idea of automatic regeneration. I'm going to do something that's going to blow my fucking arm off, because I don't really care. Skills are training. These are kind of more specific. They're more specific legends. However, when they do become relevant, you get a full rank up. You go from A to S. You go from B to A. Obviously, kind of the lower ranking one, like, you kind of want to use this for higher ranking ones, because this is what you're good at. These are things that you've practiced your life doing. And it's things like research. Anytime you are researching something, you're going to get a rank up. Anytime you use swords, you're going to get a rank up. Anytime the 32 principles of the false hero stance becomes relevant, you're going to get a rank up. Which I want you to feel like those are powerful to you. These are fairly cheap to acquire because they are very, I wouldn't say narrative focused, but they allow you to make your character unique to you. While words are a little bit weird. So, this is the other part. This is a word. So, basic lore behind this is it invented language. Pretty much Super God invented language. Everybody, and pretty much that language reverberates through the heavens. And everybody kind of wants to learn it because it can affect things. The new gods hid the language due to its immense power, but pretty much everybody started trying to outdo one another in the word department. Big thing is, it is the encapsulation of truth. As when you gain that word, when you become an inheritor, you gain a word. And when spoken, a word brings all under its domain into complete subservience to the speaker. What does this mean? If I say the word swords, all the swords in the area are going to do what I want them to do. You can just say, swords, and all the swords are going to come to you, kind of thing. It's pretty much your ability to manipulate the world around you. And some things are going to be like really, you're like, man, I'm obviously going to pick something like really useful. I'm going to pick something of use, so I'm going to use weapon or something. That's not the point. Look, weapon is, weapon. Okay, what's a weapon? Anything's a weapon. It's not really going to do much. However, you can string words together. For example, you have the word fire and you have the word weapon. You can say weapon fire, which is saying I'm going to fire my weapon. I'm going to shoot something from my weapon. Or I can say fire weapon, in which I draw a flaming blade from the nothing, from my own internal engine, because I have the words of power to say as such. We can say weapon, fire, and light someone's weapon on fire, with them holding it, and usually light them on fire. Words of power are definitive, and they are truths. And some of them are a little bit weird, and some of them should feel strange. But these are overtly supernatural. These are things that really make the game weird in some aspects. Oof. I had a big lunch. Now my gut's on fire. So, yeah, my example here is Triptych of the Cloth. I'm a legendary craftsman. I have the word fabric, and all that obeys me is the word fabric. However, he hunts down the word burn, and then he sets his own gigantic manufactory on fire, but then he uses the term burnt fabric, and then creates fabric from burning. Yes, he uses the literal concept of burning things alive to make clothes. Triptych is a fucking madman, but hey, he's also the person he's the only person in the world who made flaming clothes. Made from literal fire. Yeah, this is like, the main thing is like most words are nouns of some sort, but it's like broad and literal. And to a point, you don't have a word butterfly, you have insect. Some words are just too broad, have no purpose, such as everything, but they have to be combined with something. You also have linking words, which is saying like everything but swords. Or it's like fire everything but swords. Where everything in and around you is going to be lit on fire, effectively, except blades, or something like that. But fire swords, everything is fire swords. You allow people to draw fire swords from themselves. I mean, it's like kind of that idea. Be weird with these words. They're supposed to feel weird. So that brings me, finally, this will actually be the final bit of character creation, which is going to be sword arts. Or I should more accurately call this chaos arts. So what is chaos art? So, chaos art. The fragment of the god-killing sword. Killing a sword imbues the user with one. Imbues the user and the world. The fragments. Actually, no. How do I know? The god-killing sword's ultimate goal, ultimate power, was bringing chaos into the world, into the world, allowing it to infect all parts of the world, all parts of the cosmos, and bringing discord and disharmony to its former existence. The fragments of the god-killing sword are the same, bringing that element of uncertainty and chaos to all of the inheritors. All of the inheritors and their lives. To all of the inheritors' lives. Chaos arts are the skills, abilities. Chaos arts are the power of the power of controlling that raw, unbridled chaos. Raw, unbridled chaos into something useful. Most notably, increasing the inheritor's power, and allowing them to unleash their most devastating abilities. Okay, so all inheritors have a during conflicts the chaos of the situation reflects how intense, how powerful, and how unshackled the power of the inheritors are. The chaos situation reflects how intense, how powerful, and how unshackled the power of the inheritors are. Rising as the conflict intensifies. Which is what you want to put into a system called chaos junctures, which is saying, I'm deliberately going to attempt to raise the chaos. Which, mind you, the best way to describe chaos is it's a linear line of how much shit is going down. Chaos 0 is when everything is normal. That's a fairly normal exchange of blows, fairly normal exchange of everything. Chaos level 7 is you're causing the literal apocalypse by walking around and dealing with the problem. Every sword clash is a echoing nightmare to everybody around, and you're causing an apocalyptic event by existing. That's the point of chaos. Ugh. Why do I have early access players? Alright, fuck it. We live in a society. Oh, God. So during chaos situations, how intense, how powerful, and how unshackled the power of the inheritors are. Gotta remember, always fucking capitalize you. There's our inflicting rising as conflict intensifies. Chaos arts allow the inheritor to increase their power, allow the inheritor to increase their power, or gain abilities at certain chaos thresholds. So the idea is at Chaos 0, you don't have any of these, but let's say I have a Chaos 4 ability, I now have access to it if we get up to Chaos 4, which that's usually bad if we get up there, but that's a good thing too. And I'm going to have to put in, it's going to be certain chaos thresholds. All inheritors have uh, a starting chaos art, of the ability to kill divinity, at chaos 3. This means the inheritor, during a conflict, must raise the chaos to 3 to actually kill another inheritor in a battle. Yeah, just the idea that you have to hit chaos 3 to just kill someone. This isn't a conflict, mind you. If you want to stab someone from behind with a blade, go for it. Cannot stop you. However, this is the idea of, like, you are raising the chaos to such a value that you are going to kill someone, and you're okay with it. Alright, so, chaos arts may be adopted, actually may be chosen by paying a CP cost equal to the chaos state, to the chaos value, representing when the art may be, we'll put in chaos art, may be used in affect the inheritor. Okay, so go down here. We want to put you right there. This is going to be one of those weird parts. I was saying, like, to make this work, this is going to be like, let's see, all inheritors. Okay, so next I need to open this up, and I need to go to, not that, I need to put that. Okay, so we need to do chaos value creation points, CP, creation point cost, CP cost. So we're going to have, now we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Technically, there's just going to be 6. Actually, no. We're going to put on 7 values of chaos, just to represent how horribly destructive they are. And this is actually going to go down the more it goes. So it's going to go something like this. So what does this actually kind of mean? Is actually, let's see, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5. Yeah, this actually, no, do we want to do something like 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, 45, 50, kind of make the jump here pretty significant. I think that works. Pretty much the idea is that, like, chaos value is bad. Like, chaos value is, like, fundamentally, unless you're kind of like unless you don't really give a shit, it's not a good thing to raise. Because this is, landscape being destroyed. This is nations just being destroyed. 5 is like, continental damage. 7 is planetary destruction. Like, you raise chaos value to 7, if you're up that point, you're cracking holes in the side of the planet. You are tossing someone through a mountain and quickly following up by blowing them up, which is supposed to feel this horrendous thing. I think the main way of kind of representing this is in Kill 6 Billion Demons, the Jagganoth fight that's currently undergoing for the past, like, 5 fucking months. Uh, Jagannath is raising the rose the chaos value to such an astronomical degree that they're currently at about 7, and he damn well knows it. And that's how he was gaining all his power, is that he was kind of abusing this system to get it. But that's also allowing Solomon David to use his own chaos values, because this is how you're going to represent things like martial arts. If you take an ability called Kirata to unleash your super special super techniques, you're going to invest in chaos value, because you're not going to want to pull those out early. And that's kind of the idea, too. It's you holding yourself back. In Dragon Ball terms, this is Super Saiyan. This is Super Saiyan, this is Super Saiyan 2. Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan. Yeah, this is SS2, and then we have then we have, SS3. This is this is SS Blue, and this is SS God Blue God. Or whatever the fuck it currently is. I think it's Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue. Or something like that. It's like Kaioken times 35. If you want to represent Goku, you put Kaioken here. You put Kaioken like right fucking here. Being like, yeah, I now have access to Kaioken, which allows me to do this. So, let's do that. There we go. Chaos art maybe just equal to the chaos value. So, a chaos art is in. Now, if we go up here, we can do Divinity Manifest. So, how do we want to word this? So, a chaos art is either a Divinity Manifest. Manifest often just in application or skill, application, perk, or skill. But those are also kind of silly in their own right, allowing you to kind of invest in yourself, or it allows a power move to be used. Power moves can either mitigate all damage around. Power moves can either power moves double all the damage dealt, double all of the newbie damage, I think. Double all the damage dealt, have mitigate all damage, all damage taken, or in or is a flat amount of damage, straight to this flat amount of wholeness damage, or core flame damage straight to the target. Equal to the chosen attribute. Equal to the chosen attribute of the power move. So it's going to be something like power move strength, or power move flame. As if you are in that current conflict, you can use the power move, which is really scary because it's like, yeah, I'm going to double all my damage dealt to you, or I'm going to mitigate all the damage taken for this. But if you're not winning, you're not going to be able to do this. mitigate all damage taken, or as a flat amount of wholeness or cold flame damage, straight to the target equal to the chosen attribute of power move. A power move can be used a number of times equal to the core. Actually, it's going to be used a number of times equal to the chaos value. Power move can be used a number of times equal to the chaos value. It is assigned to. Actually, or power move to be used. Power moves double all the damage dealt, mitigate all damage taken. Is a flat amount of wholeness or flame damage straight to the target. I'm not confident with the name, but it should work. Like 95% sure the name will work. And I'm bad at names. Ow. Let's see. So power move can be used a number of times. So this is going to be something like I can spend, let's say, 30 CP to invest in a power move. In a power move, we'll call it Executioner's Grace, which is going to be entirely based on our strength, and it's going to double our damage if we use it. So if I'm winning a strength engagement, if I know I can win a strength engagement, I know I'm going to be able to kill you I'm going to be able to kill you faster. But the thing is, things like double damage only really are useful if you have an overwhelming advantage. And only when you mitigate all damage, only when you have a overwhelming disadvantage. That's kind of the back and forth there. It's like, oh wow, I can do 20 damage. I can do 10 damage to you flat, or I know that I'm going to deal 14 to you by default. If I double that, it's going to be 28. But if I'm doing 3 damage to you, doubling that 6. Like, power moves are useful, don't get me wrong. Power moves are very useful. Power moves also come with the drawback of being power-based. Like, they are, it's kind of that if you have the advantage, you're going to do well with them. If you have a disadvantage, you're not going to do well. But these are also going to be things like, again, like Kirata, third finger, it's the god killing dick punch maneuver, which is going to be on chaos, let's say chaos 3, allowing me to double all damage. Actually, I feel like I need to reword this. So power move to be used. Power moves. So we want to do power moves. Take on many forms. Take on many forms, allowing the user to target wholeness. Or wholeness or core whole. If I can actually fucking spell wholeness or core flame. Pretty much you can eat away their ability to do things, which can be very useful in case you're fighting against someone like that. Power moves take many forms, allowing the user to target wholeness or core flame. So power, so they may the inheritor may choose to double all of the damages they would deal. They would deal that round. Mitigate mitigate all damage taken that round, or deal a flat amount of wholeness or core flame damage straight. A flat amount of damage to wholeness or core. Flat amount of damage to the target for equal to their attribute. So, if you have an F in something, you're not gonna do anything. Don't take that one. It's gonna be useless on you. But if you have an F in something, you may want like a power move of defense in it, because like I can totally defeat you. Like no, you fucking can't. Good fucking joke, mate. It also means the higher chaos value, the more you're actually gonna be able to use this. Low chaos value ones are expensive, very expensive, but you can also use them a lot quicker. If you like lower ones, I want people to kind of encourage to take these ones. It's you taking, hey, I have an application that now allows me to fly, or hey, I have an application that my puppetry. I'm allowed to use my puppets to defend myself, and it could be like I'm going to spend 5 core flame, and instead of being hit, one of my puppets takes the hit for me, and it's you dancing around. But it's like you're now getting targeted. Your core flames beat. You're effectively burning your core flame to mitigate damage towards you, which has its own benefits and drawbacks. But this is also something that you need to try to find out and learn what their chaos value, what their chaos arts are. Because sometimes they're going to have things that aren't very good. Let's see. Learning that, someone has the ability to delete you is pretty valuable to know versus someone who has the ability to completely eradicate you from existence. It's like, huh, well, shit. Okay, so that should be all of characters. That is inheritor creation. So, after 22 pages, we've finally figured out how to make a character. I'm not entirely sold on the costs here, though. Like, I'm not sold on the costs here yet. That seems a little bit expensive for what we're getting, but I don't know if I want to raise the value or lower those values. These ones work pretty well. These ones work pretty well. Like, the costs here, I think up to this point, it gets a little bit expensive because you get 250 points. Because if you get 250 points, you should be able to kind of build how you want to go. That's what I've been kind of trying to base it off of. Am I 100% sure yet? Absolutely not. So, what are we doing next? Well, next we have to do conflicts. Which, if we go to Faint Lonely Dance, so conflicts. Actually, should I do... I'll probably, I think I'm going to add these in later. I don't know how I want to add them in. Because the thing is, like, it's not one of those things like, oh, like, you're flawed. Because the thing is, like, you aren't really flawed. And the problem is, like, the thing that I want to represent here is, like, this is you. The fact that you're the way that you are, you're fucking with how you operate. The fact that you have an ego the size of a small planetoid means that you probably aren't going to be, it's like, oh, God. Yeah, like it's kind of hard. It's hard to kind of announce that. Now we get to do conflict. Yes, making a character in this game was 23 pages long. Conflict is 2 because conflict is resolved fairly simply. So let's see. Total beat count compared to the current attribute. That's how much of their health they are betting. Total 10 beats make this decision during conflict. Character loses beats equal to the difference in the attribute. 5 actions they are able to perform during conflict. So now this is where things are going to get a little bit complicated because this is a bit like half of me. Here's the thing: half of me wants to do like this. Pretty much how this worked is, you contribute additional health. The character cannot escalate. Pretty much the idea is you bet beats. Is that you bet, current beats reduces 0. They can be defeated, achieving their goals. Sometimes they may be winning a race, disarming an opponent. Lose all their beats but not health. They take a penalty in the form of a wound or complication. Wounds or complications. Pretty much the entire idea with this is that you don't necessarily need to take away your health or anything. It could just be things are going wrong and you're kind of reducing your health by your own. Use abilities, power, equipment can also decide to simply reduce the amount of health the character has as well. If no lasting damage, but the bar with battle scars, number of times the battle has escalated depending on the severity of the wounds and complications. So the idea let's see, it's yeah, so like the idea here is to kind of represent, hey, I may not be able to like kill you outright, but I'm sure as hell gonna cripple you so you can't do something. How to do that? Well, I don't know. So I think I'm gonna have to rewrite the conflict section quite a bit. So conflicts. Is anything that two or more entities engage in to determine the victor. Inheritors may engage conflicts using any attribute appropriate to the situation, each of them using the same set of rules. So this does mean you can technically kill someone by using your mind powers, which, yeah. Let's do a total beat count. Let's see. When a conflict begins, actually 2 or more actors engage in to determine victor. Inheritors may engage in any attribute appropriate to the actors, each of them using the same set of rules. When conflict begins, all actors determine how much of their wholeness they are betting into the encounter. They are betting, adding it to their total. I don't want to word this. Because the ideas I had was kind of the idea of like tipping scales, which is to say, I'm betting 10, you're 10 versus 10, which is the idea. If I'm betting I'm betting this, you're betting this. It's actually, no, how do I want to do it? It's more like you giving things to others. So it's like, okay, I give you 10, versus my 0. Technically, you're 10 up. I'm gonna win pretty quickly. Like, how do I want to do this? Okay, let's write this one out the way I want to do it, and I'll see if I want to change. When conflict begins, all actors determine how much of the wholeness they are betting, adding it to their total tech, adding it to their total integrity. Integrity reflecting their ability. Reflecting their ability to continue fighting, as well as their fighting spirit. Actually, continue the conflict, as well as wholeness. They are betting adding to their total integrity, reflecting the ability to continue the conflict, as well as their ability to continue the conflict. Actors compare the conflict's current attribute. Whoever has the highest rank, or is highest rank, or whoever has the highest rank will go first. If both actors have the same, then compare a second attribute as chosen by the defender. So it's kind of the idea of like, we'll compare our strengths. We're gonna wrestle. We're comparing our strengths. Obviously, we both look at it. We both have A. Okay, the second person, like I'm kind of going to be attacking you. You're the defender. I'm like, okay, let's compare our mind. Let's see if we can't psych each other out. I'm like, I have a B in my mind. Actually, compare a second attribute as chosen by the. What did I end up calling this? What did I end up calling the GM in this game? Because I know I gave it a stupid name. Let's see. I don't have a GM name. Odd. I'm going to actually have to add that in. So, it's chosen by the... We'll call it the narrator. Chosen by the narrator. So it's kind of the idea of... If you say, okay, we're comparing strength to this wrestling match, being like, alright, compare your radiances. With the idea being like, who's just more divine than the other, being like, okay, like, radiance can always be kind of used as, like, who is the best. Let's see if both actors have the same. It's chosen by the, compare the second attribute as chosen by the narrator. Okay, so each, depending on what the actor is, they will have a base amount of integrity. Representing their abilities, strengths. Which is going to bring me here, and we're going to need to do actor's power, start a base integrity. So, the actor's power is going to be a servant race. A servant is going to have a base integrity of 0. If you go against someone and neither of you are betting, nothing's really going to happen. You're literally just going to compare whoever has the highest, and the highest will win. That's it. So, which will be to minor divine, which is pretty much like a divine beast. is going to have a base integrity of 3. And we're going to do a first step scion, which is going to have 5. A second step scion is going to have 8. And finally, inheritor is going to have a base of 12. Actually, it's going to have a base. Yeah, it's going to have a base of actually 2, 3, 4, 10. Yeah, there we go. I think this works. 1, 3, 5, 10. With you have double the amount of the one below you. Yeah, that seems about right. When you're a divine emperor, killing beast. Let's see. Because inheritors have the absolute strength of everything. Because guess what? Fuck you. So okay. So we want to do. We want to put that right there. So, depending on an act, they have a base amount of integrity representing their abilities and strength. Actually, once they are betting, adding up to their total integrity, the ability to continue the conflict. An inheritor may spend their core flame. Actually, actors with core flame may also expend it to increase their integrity. But may also expand 5, we'll say 3 core flame to increase integrity by 1, which is pretty much being like, I'm powering up to the very limit kind of thing. If you have core flame, you can do that. That's not really a good use of your core flame. It's not really important, but it does allow you to get a small advantage. So each character has a base of 10 beats to make decisions in conflict. So they have a base amount of integrity. We're going to put that there. Each actor will start to make decisions. Let's see, decisions representing what they are doing in the conflict. Representing what they are doing in the conflict. Represent what they are doing in the conflict. So we want to do maneuver, change position, use a power, strategize, press the advantage. Okay, representing what they are doing in the conflict. Make decisions representing what they are doing in the conflict, potentially changing the attributes being compared. Using abilities, or potentially causing chaos, which is important because that's how you end up manipulating the fight. So during each round, a actor will choose to perform one of the following actions. Then let's see. Dungeon tactics. Oh god, dungeon tactics. My great sin. One that I didn't get paid nearly enough for. So let's see. We want to do so. Press the advantage. The actor maintains current situation. In situation, the actor with the lesser attribute reduces their beats by the difference. And by the difference is like just scaling wise. So if I have a A and you have a B, technically it would be A minus, B plus, B. So you would take 3 damage, quote unquote. You take 3 damage. Let's see, press the advantage, strategize. The actor changes the attribute they are using, but not the opponent's. The opponent's attribute. Use the power. The actor uses an ability. Or application. Actually, use an ability to give them an advantage or advantage to turn the tide of the conflict. Maneuver. And changes position, moves to a separate location, potentially changing the battlefield and the problems associated with it. Now, maneuver. This is going to be kind of more of a designer think time. Now, the idea behind the maneuver is saying, okay, we're fighting in a location, we're fighting. We're going to deliberately move to a separate area to kind of continue this fight. Or it could also kind of represent me kicking you in the chest and me rocketing you backwards into another location, me following suit. I'm not doing any damage to you. It's literally just me, like, moving us, kind of very deliberately, we're moving the battlefield now. Which it should feel kind of impactful, but it's like maneuvering constantly isn't doing anything. Like, that's one of the big ideas. Like, maneuvering constantly is decidedly not helping. You are not helping in the slightest. Oh, goodness. Three, two. Ow. Oh, Lord. I forgot Christmas is coming up. And let's say, problem associated with it. The actor escalates the situation, changing the attribute for both actors. Both actors are allowed to contribute additional wholeness or spend color flame. The character cannot escalate until the actor cannot escalate until the other actor has. Which is pretty much saying, well, I can't do it unless you do it. And then we have to put in Chaos Juncture. The actor of INHERITOR the actor chooses to raise the chaos deliberately. The chaos value deliberately. Raise the chaos value deliberately. Doing so, causing the area to causing catastrophic damage to their surroundings. Both actors choose an attribute to lock. Both actors choose an attribute not currently in use. To lock, preventing them from using it until the conflict ends. Now, that's why Chaos Juncture is kind of a dangerous thing. if you chaos juncture, you're going to raise the chaos value kind of without your permission kind of thing. Like, I'm raising this to fuck us over. But you're also saying, okay, I'm going to make it so that I can no longer use my warfare. I have taken away my ability to use warfare in this conflict. What does that actually mean? I've thrown away any piece of like martial reasoning I had. I'm literally going at 250% into me beating you to death with my fists. Or I abandon any of my training when it comes to that. I'm going to hurt you now. Or it's like, I've abandoned my mental reasoning. I've abandoned any grace I had. You are deliberately losing something. But but your opponent also has to do the same. They're kind of taking it off as well. Which is like, well, shit. And if you want to deliberately raise the chaos drastically, that's also an issue. But I should also actually in inheritor's definitive attribute, until using it until the conflict ends. If used past conflict chaos value 3, the opponent chooses which attribute is lost, and vice versa. Pretty much after 3, and if you escalate to 4, 5, 6, or 7, the idea is, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to mark off my warfare, it's them saying, I'm going to mark off your warfare. You can no longer use warfare. Or I can no longer use my, like, I'm saying, well, you can't use your mind anymore. Like, all right. Which this does lead to a situation of saying, what's your definitive attribute? If I know your definitive attribute, I'm going to try to mark it off quickly, so you can't rely on it to beat me. Because again, you can't lose with your definitive attribute. You can never lose. You can never be fully reduced down to 0 beats with it. Which is kind of like that Nani moment. Nani. What would be some other? Let's put this as conflictos. Heading 1, we want to do expand 3 core flame to abilities situation. We also use 3 core flame to increase their integrity by 1. Actors compare. I forgot to add that one in. So. No, we want to do middle. Okay, so each actor will make a decision representing what they are doing. So here's our options. What I need to do is recuperate. The actor pulls back for a second. Rest. Pulls back for a second, letting their replenishment kick in. They regain core flame. Core flame or wholeness equal to their replenishment. Replenishment only available to those who have mastered the core flame. Yeah, recuperate's actually very dangerous for literally most people because you never want to do that. It's not a good idea. Like, that's the big thing. It's not a good idea to do that ability. You can recuperate, but you're a little bit lacking on the your options. Let's see. Now let's do this. So we want to do, it would be that, increase the size by 2. Do that, increase the size by 2. I escalated the situation, changing the attributes. See, if I ignore... See, I'm allowed to make this look fucking terrible because I know I'm going to be actually... I'm going to attempt to PDF this. It's not going to look good, but it's going to be a PDF in which I get to try to convince my friend who does art to make esoteric bullshit art of his girlfriend. Because I'm being like, yes, I'll put it in here, don't worry. Give her modeling credits or something. I don't care. Mostly because I love my friend to death. I think he's a great guy. That man gets too much. Like, he's got like, yeah, here's like my fucking supermodel girlfriend, Lamau. I'm like, oh, that's great. That's great. Just rub it in my face, why don't you? You know, my last girlfriend fucking kidnapped me twice. Yeah. The one before that threatened me with a fucking sword. But like, yeah, no, that's great. I'm having a ball. Life's fucking amazing. God damn it. Let's see. Chaos Juncture. Escalate, maneuver, press the advantage, recuperate, strategize, use power. One of the following actions. So what I'm actually going to do is we're going to call in Chaos Increment. Actually, we should say every 3 rounds, the chaos of the conflict will increase if it is appropriate. Actually, chaos increment. If it is appropriate, after 3 rounds, chaos of the conflict will increase as appropriate. It will not. Raising chaos naturally does not lock out certain attributes. Not lock out certain attributes, but it does allow the actors to use their chaos arts. After chaos value 7, the chaos increment. After chaos value 7, another chaos increment will introduce apocalypse. Which will introduce apocalypse. The area around the conflict will gradually break down. And quickly into molten slag unless both sides cease the conflict. So pretty much at a certain point, yeah, after it would be 7 times 3. After a maximum of 21 bouts of rounds of combat, if there has been no victor, which is insane by the way. Like that's not a thing. You should not do that. If you kind of hit that point after that amount of time, good news, you're not dead. No, it's just like the conflict's kind of reached an end because the world around you is breaking. Like you've caused an apocalypse. Good job. You know, molten slag unless both sides cease the conflict. Yeah, do not let apocalypse occur. If apocalypse occurs, you fucked everybody. Like, everybody's dead kind of thing. Which is, good. You want that. Come on. You want apocalypse. Especially if you have a perk allowing you to survive it. Let's see. Chaos increment, and actually, I should put this in is multiple fighters, multiple participants. Participants in the participants. Do I actually have a note for this in Lonely Dance, or did I just ignore it? Did I simply ignore the system? Yes, I did. I believe I did. Set the current state of affairs. So let's see. Wounds and complications may also take the form of debilitating. So when a character employs a tactic, I should also put that in. And when an actor when an actor employs tactic, they've changed conflict in a meaningful way, which makes it difficult to go back. For example, changing a radiance conflict to a warfare conflict would imply the actor has drawn a blade to the once civilized conversation. Escalation. Oh no. Oh no. Radiance conflict to warfare conflict would imply the actor has drawn a blade at the once civilized conversation. It may go back to radiance, but the narrative has changed. Let's see. Do I actually even have any rules for multiple? Like, what happens if you have multiple people based on integrity? What do I do for this situation? Hello, Mr. Y. Let me think. So, pretty much what this Fate Lonely Dance is built around 1v1 conflict. So how do you implement a multiple person versus multiple person system? How do you put into the narrative? How do you put into the mechanics? There are 3 of me versus 1 of you. We're currently fighting, and not make it completely broken. Let me check real fast. I am kind of rambling right now, so I tend to get a little bit lower if I do. But well, what we can do, if we really want to play with things, if we have multiple people that you just naturally get a bump to an attribute, no, that doesn't sound right. That does not sound right at fuck at all. Let me think. If multiple people are in the same conflict, they will go equal to the state of their attributes. If they go to the state of their attributes, they can choose a target. If they are allowed to choose a target, you compare the attributes. However, everyone has to kind of obey the same thing. Then how do you balance the fact that it's that? You could probably... Okay, I know how to do this. Okie dokie then. Okie dokie. So, we don't want this. I'm going to put chaos increment as its own thing because it's kind of important. But if there are multiple actors in the same conflict, the order of action Action is determined by the highest to lowest rank. Let's see. The order of actions is determined by the highest to lowest rank of the initial attribute. Once it is the actor's turn, they may choose to target another actor of their choice. Target another actor of their choice with their actions. However, escalation cannot actually no. Actually, however, escalation affects all actors in the current conflict. If an alliance, if a group of individuals is targeting a single one, they may the group of individuals is targeting a single one. Actually, how do I want to word this? Like, what I'm trying to avoid, like the main thing I'm trying to avoid here is, let me just do this real fast. Like, what I'm trying to avoid is, I have 4 people, you have 1, I get more actions by virtue of the economy. By virtue of just having more numbers than somebody else, I'm having the advantage. Which is, yes, appropriate, but I also want to make that a little bit more dramatic, because guess what? This is a fucking power drama, not anything else. So, what I was thinking about doing is, it affects all actors in the current scenario. If the narrator wishes, they one. Actually, no, I'm gonna make that a side note. That'd be a good idea. Side note. We'll call it King's game. King versus pawns. How do I want to word this? Ingenium overload. If the players are actively attempting to gang up on characters and manipulating the action economy. Implement the Ingenium overload mechanic. Effectively, the inheritor's flame understands it's in danger, thus triggers a self-defense mechanism. The outnumbered inheritor is always treated as if they are plus 2 chaos value. Would be plus 1 or plus 2. Actually, yeah. The outnumbered inheritors always treated as they are plus 2 chaos value ahead head of the other group, as well as gaining a free replenishment, a free recuperation, free recuperation once every free recuperation during a chaos increment. During this time, let's see. During this time, they also may expend their core flame. Actually, any expenditure. During this time, all core flame expenditures are halved, rounding down in cost. They are outnumbered. But rarely outgunned. So what does this actually mean? Is if you are fighting someone who is just better than you, who has a little bit more, if you gang up on them, you may have the advantage of just having more numbers, but they have the advantage of being able to just do more shit faster. So if they have a core flame of 30, they can then burn a lot of and get a lot more stuff out of it, as well as being able to recuperate and regain it, as well as being able to use their chaos arts a lot faster. Because the thing is, if someone raises the chaos to 1, they're treated as chaos value 3 and they can kill you. You have to wait 2 more times to do that. You gotta build up the chaos twice to kill them, which does put you at an immediate disadvantage, especially if they invest a lot in that. That's kind of something as a GM you should understand, is that sometimes you're going to be fighting someone who's going to be pretty damn powerful alone, and they kind of want to do this. And there may be some fights where they deliberately do this. They want to become completely outnumbered just so they can trigger this. This immediately kind of changes the fight for them in their advantage. Because it's like, yeah, I'm going to raise the chaos deliberately to make sure that all of you are suffering, but I get to be able to kill you now by ripping your heads off. And suddenly it's the Jagannath thing. Jagannath was at a complete disadvantage, so his ingenium pretty much overloaded, and he was able to do things. He was able to achieve a higher level of power quicker than all the other demiurges, which eventually led to them getting their shit rocked. Even though Salami David is making everything in his power to not get his shit rocked, because Solomon David's the coolest fucking character and kill 6 billion demons. Abaddon, why do you make us suffer with Allison? Let's see. Chaos increments. Okay. There are multiple actors. So this should cover that issue, which we're going to put a side note and a table right there. We'll put a side note. The Ingenium overload. Am I saying this is effectively, at its core, when we make a new how to make RPG games video? Give me 1 second. Let me just post this in here real fast. This is getting its own special section because it kind of needs it, just because it's a fundamental thing. I might add more stuff here. I might not. I don't know. If not, I might make that kind of like an important side note. I don't know how I want to do that yet. But if I get rid of this real fast, to answer that question, Mr. Y, I need to go to here. Go to tests, go to classroom, go to scripts, go to KNS theory. So this is the current script. This is the current script for that video. I am I'm about a third done. I'm about, I would say, a little over halfway, I would say 60% done with the script. And as you see, there's just a lot of it to go over, and I try to go over as detailed as I can when it comes down to certain things, but it's kind of hard to explain some of them. It's like I would write a section, I go back on it. Write a section, I go back on it, and then it's like, okay, I need to reiterate this, and then I'm also trying to like go back and like try to think of like, well, do I really need to write this section, or can I make it a little snippet in the video itself? Do I need to write this section, or can I make it a snippet in the video? It's That's what I mean. It's like that's why it's kind of difficult. Like this one's gonna be weird, and I know I'm gonna piss somebody off with it. But it's all about KNS theory, which is kinetic narrative and simulationist theory, which can effectively be broken down into how you choose to approach a game and its mechanics. Kinetic theory says the game is most important, which is the idea of my sword does 2d6 damage. If I hit you with my sword, I'm going to do 2d6 damage. KNS, these nuts. Hello, Orange Chainsaw. But that's pretty much the idea of kinetic. It's just like, this is gameplay first, a little else, nothing. Narrative design is entirely about the story being more important than anything, which is kind of the idea of, oh, well, I'm an impeccable swordsman and you suck, so if I hit you with my sword, I'm probably going to kill you. Again, it's narrative first. It's like the narrative is more important than anything. Simulationist is all about keeping, how did I word it properly? It's simulationism is all about the world is first. The world is first priority. Which, if I hit you with my sword, where do I hit you? If I hit you in the leg, it's going to be different than if I hit you in the arm, than if I hit you in the hand, than if I hit you in the head. Because if I stab you, the thing is, if I stab you in your arm, you're not going to die. You're going to hurt like hell. It's going to hurt like hell, but you ain't going to die. If I stab you in your chest straight through, you're probably going to die. If I stab you in your eye socket, you're going to die. You can't spell simulationism without autism. And that's going to be, like, that's the big thing when it comes to simulationism at its core, is that a true simulationist game is impossible. Just as the way like a true gamist or a true narrativist game are kind of difficult to actually make, true simulationism is tracking everything and just doing it. True simulationism is me getting a wiffle ball bat and beating you over the head to simulate me hitting you over the head with a wiffle ball bat. Like, there's no abstraction. That's kind of the joke with like hardcore simulationism. And if you want to represent that like mechanically, it's the idea of it's tracking things. And some games do it really well. Some games do it excessively poorly. And I think like the best simulationism game that I've looked over recently was Mercenary Air Squadron. That game was almost fully simulationist, and that game was simulationist and in most of its categories, but also had a little bit of narrative design as well as kinetic design. Fatal is simulationist, unfortunately. It's like the thesis of that video, kind of the final ending big thing of the video is all three of the points are important. You can't have a game of just composed of one because it doesn't work. What is Naked Dwarf Syndrome? Well, back in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay First Edition, how armor worked, pretty much how damage reduction worked, was that it was, if I get hit by a weapon, I reduce it by the damage by my armor and my toughness. Well, it would be the tens value of my toughness. So if I had, say, like an armor 5 and toughness 50, I reduce all damage by 10. In the first edition of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, dwarves got a bonus to that effectively. They pretty much got a raw bonus. That if you built things correctly, a dwarf completely naked had effectively the tanking power of wearing plate mail, which pretty much made you almost invincible. Hence Naked Dwarf Syndrome. It's in the narrative, it makes no sense. In simulating it, it makes no sense. It is completely game design wise. That is how that occurred. Which again, it makes sense from a game design perspective of how it got that to that point. If you just use all the mechanics present, but in setting, it's like, yeah, this is ridiculous. Naked Dwarf Syndrome, I see that in a few games. Of it's You can kind of attribute it to be something a little bit larger, which is the idea of the game mechanics allow you to do something that out of that in the world or in the narrative make no fucking sense. Uh, which it's things let me think at the top of my head. I know D&D's got a few of those, which are Gamism is the best approach because it generates the best green text stories to a degree. It's the best. See, the thing is, the best green text stories, the best actual stories you hear from people, usually take an aspect and go 100% on it. It's using manipulating the game's mechanics. This occurs, and you get something funny occurring, or in the narrative, kind of what the story was being told. This is what happened, and it was funny, or because of how the game was set up and how the world worked, this occurred and this was amusing. But there's some more ridiculous ones there's a reason fucking no game has good wrestling rules. Very few games actually have good wrestling rules because wrestling is notorious for being broken. Because whenever I come up with gameplay stuff for settings, all I can hear in my head is loud pain screaming. What do I do? Go see a therapist. One, the thing is, there isn't a good way of doing anything because I myself when I see a setting, how I try to envision things is what is occurring and how do I mechanify it, and that's a term I use for it. So, I use the term mechanify, and that's why I always tell people if you ever want game design practice, if that sounds ridiculous, if you want game design practice, watch a movie. Watch a movie, watch a television show that you like, or play a game or something, and watch what they're doing and think about how you can actually turn that into mechanics. And it's you once you start looking at some things, this is completely autistic to do, mind you, but it's I find it helpful, and some people also say it's very helpful. It's the idea of you know Han Solo bringing the gun up to shoot Greedo. Who shot first? Well, Han, it's kind of the idea of well, Han made effectively, that was an initiative check at the end of the day. Han rolled better, so he shot first. Or did, and it's things like that. You can do it with a few of them that are a little bit weirder, and you sometimes get some interesting bits and bobs with it. Games, it's a little bit easier to do because you already have mechanics in place, and it's more about translating those mechanics to to paper, which I always laugh my ass off anytime I see someone I want to make Skyrim the tabletop game. I'm like, don't. Skyrim sucks. And Skyrim is painful because in a video game you have the advantage of automatically being able to do things. Just snap your fingers and it happens. If you want to hit someone with a sword in Skyrim, you hit a left mouse button, you swing your sword, you hit, you do damage. That's it. The actual math behind that is actually insane. If you actually read some of the math, it's what the fuck? If this goes on, I'm going to throw my dignity down until I'll make a 5e PBTA setting. Well, the thing is, when you're trying to find something to do, find what makes you happy. That is the most important thing that you can do. What kind of mechanics do you like? What kind of ideas do you like? You want to make something a bit more crunchy? Well, put in aspects that make it a little bit more crunchy. If you'd like 2d6, make a 2d6 system. There's some good 2d6 systems. Like just today I uploaded the Kamigakari video, little opinion, and I uploaded the Kamigakari video, and I've insulted 2d6 systems before because I find them like boring sometimes. But I like Kamigakari's system, and I'm like, well, why do I like Kamigakari's system so much? And it's because its setting, its themes, its mechanics behind the kind of behind everything made that 2d6 system entertaining to me. It was fun to roll dice in Kamigakari. Hell, even like my thing, like I have a bad tendency of going to dice pools. Like I immediately gravitate toward dice pools because I like dice pools. Because I know there's a lot of tricks you can do with them to make them work, to make them do what you want them to do. Which so that's something I enjoy doing. That's just something about how I like to design games. But there are people who swear by D20s. There are people who will only do things with, D10s, D100 systems. Find what makes you happy and find like a system that you enjoy, and then you can build off of it. If you like D20, there's nothing wrong with making a D20 game. Like, let me remind you of that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's when you copy shit and don't innovate is when things, yeah. Let's see, crunchy. Yeah, I like to be. Yeah, it's. Yeah, no, you can do stuff with that. Like, hey, you want a bunch of power lists and you want a bunch of options. Do it. Like, nothing's stopping you from making it. It's usually when I see people do, like, I want a bunch of powers or stuff and stuff like that. What the usual case is that you have a bunch of powers and then you can play on the already existing mechanics. And what does that mean? So, like, I'll use God Killing Swords here for as an example. So, already existing mechanics are things that you can influence in the game itself. So, already I know I have things like a flame. Flame is present. I know what flame does and how it works, and I know it's going to be ranked from, F to S. I know that already. What can I do with that? Well, I can do all these things. Well, how do I represent, C to C minus? Well, that's a step down. Well, I have wholeness. How can I manipulate wholeness? It's like you can usually games with like really thick and like huge amounts of power options and stuff like that have a lot of mechanics for you to influence. Because if you really read a vast majority of them, a vast majority of any power in any game, it's going to break down to here's a mechanic, how do we use the mechanic? Very rarely do they add in like completely different things that are never anywhere else. It's like, oh, if you cast this spell, you stun them. The stun option is here. This is how it works. Oh, hey, you use this ability and you inflict bleed 3 on them. Okay, where's bleed? Bleed's right there. Bleed's a mechanic that is present in the game. I've seen a few which like Maestro was bad about this. I will say this. Maestro was very bad about this of like an individual ability might an individual class might introduce like 6 mechanics exclusive to them. Nobody else has used them. It's not bad design. It's just is like ugh, ugh, oh, ugh. Panther, Panther, Panther. Ow. Okay, so we need to go back down to conflicts. Chaos increments. And what else do we need? Okay, so winning and losing a conflict. Okay, this is when a character's speed is reduced to 0, they consider to be defeated, with the victor achieving their goal. Sometimes this can maybe winning a race, disarming an opponent, or winning a debate. Sometimes conflict can inflict lasting injury on an opponent. These are called wounds and complications. Minor, major, serious. Hello, Elstolfo, from a Knight's Tale. Hello, how do you do? Has become a go-to reference. Well, because Mass is weird. Like the actual where is it? Scripts. Like it's done. Like I wrote a bunch of scripts yesterday. Like and almost all of them have been all of them have been voiced at this point. All the audio is done at this point for almost all of them. The next video, which is hopefully be out on Friday, is going to be Omega Fantasy, and then it's going to be the FAP script, probably into Overarms, Maesta, and finally ending out on Panty Explosion. Like the goal is to get Panty Explosion by the end of the month, but fun fact: the fucking Panty Explosion script is 5 minutes long, and it takes me about 2-3 hours per video on that's like a 2-3 minute video, just because I have to do a lot of little stuff and listen back to it, double check everything. Panty Explosion is going to take me fucking ever. Like, that's just a thing. It's just going to happen. It's just going to be forever. But, like, we don't worry. Like, Master will get its time in the sun, and you will have to listen to me having to say the word hyper pregnancy more than once, because that's what that fucking game is about. So, what do we need to do? So, we need to do winning and losing. Let's see. Integrity. When a character's integrity is reduced to 0. Defeated with achieving their goal. This may be winning a race, disarming an opponent, or winning a debate, or executing the weak. Actually, no. However, actually, the losers of the conflict that can be dealt a lasting injury. Can be dealt a lasting injury. These are called wounds and complications. Actually, these are called wounds. Okay, so when an actor is reduced to 0 integrity, not only do they lose the bet wholeness. Not only do they lose the bet wholeness, they may also suffer a wound. Wounds come in minor, major, or serious. Minor, major, serious, or mortal varieties. Representing mortal severity. Representing suffer a wound. Wounds come in minor, major, serious, or mortal severity, representing various problems and issues. Issues the actor must now face. Actually, a minor dude reduces an attribute by 1 step. Minor wound reduces an attribute by 1 step. Until it is repaired. A major or serious wound reduces. Actually, it would just be a major. So a major wound reduces an attribute by a full rank, while a serious wound reduces all attributes by a full rank until it is healed. Mortal wounds are devastating and often deadly to all those who aren't inheritors. Let's see. Mortal wounds are devastating, often deadly to those who aren't inheritors, reducing all attributes to F until it is actually healed. A scion, actually it would be a servant. Minor divine, or scion are instantly killed if they take a mortal wound. Actually, or to inherit, they take a mortal wound. If an inheritor takes a mortal wound, they are not killed, but are currently exposed. Should they take another wound? Actually, should they take another wound or be caught unaware? They're not killed, but cannot use replenishment or their core flame until it is healed. Pretty much saying, you fucked. Like, you are incredibly exposed right now. If an inheritor takes a mortal wound, they are not killed, but cannot use replenishment or the core flame until it is healed. So, an inheritor this time is considered exposed. Should they be attacked? Actually, no. So as long as the actor has wholeness, they may continue to function and move. However, should their wholeness be reduced to 0, they will die. they will die. So until it is core flame. If an inheritor takes a mortal, they're not killed, but cannot use replenishment. Their core flame until it is here. They are also treated as if they have a base integrity of 0. Yes, the honking is my phone notification. It's my clown noise. So, let's see what occurred. Let's. I don't know why it's saying like, oh, storage space is running out. Why are you telling me this? I mean, cool. I guess I'll make these go away. Yeah. Okay. Hello, phone. Oh, it's being staticky now. Yeah. All right. So that might have been just me. Yeah, because that might have been me or something out in my. I'm hearing humming. Wait a second. Okay, I think I know what it is. I think it was something in my. So, for reference's sake, where my apartment is, I face the entire parking lot, and our parking lot is loud as fuck because it's just turning the time when everybody's getting home. So most likely there will be noises because people are entering in our very loud gate that goes beep 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 beep. Yeah. Every single time. I don't know why. It drives me insane. Nothing will wake you up more in the middle of the night than that thing going blaring full speed. It's great. Let's see. As long as they active, they may continue to function. However, should their home speed reduce to 0, they will die. So, how does this actually function? How does this actually work in practice? Fights are going to take place over a few times. You're not going to kill an inheritor in your first fight. That's not the point. What it's going to be is that you're going to fight, you're going to deal a wound to them. They're going to be in trouble. They're going to try to retreat. You want to pursue people who take wounds. It's going to take time to heal a wound. So yeah, you're going to pursue them. You're fighting them. You're finding them. You're reducing. They're taking wounds and they're reducing attributes, and they're taking problems, and it's only going to get worse, kind of thing. Like that minor wound's bad now, but they're going to take 2 major wounds and a serious wound. Suddenly, they're at kind of their bare knuckle. The goal is to inflict a mortal wound on them. If you can inflict a mortal wound on them, they're fucked because they have a base integrity of 0. That means they have 0 ability to really defend against you that well. And at that point, what you want to do is that pretty much they're going to have to bet a lot of wholeness that they may not have a lot of at this point. And from there, they need to be able to defend themselves. And once they hit 0, they're fucked. Like, that's how you kill someone. You don't kill them right away, you wear them down. The more you wear them down, the worse it's going to be for them. Which is a little bit different from here. And let's see. Okay, so I want to do... because here I base it off of escalations. I'm not going to base it off of escalations for this time because I don't really think I can. Yeah, so like when an actor's integrity, when an actor is reduced to 0 integrity, lose. Not only do they lose the wholeness. Lose the wholeness that was bet. But they may also suffer wounds. Pretty much the idea is, if you take a mortal wound, you're fucked. Now, some things are you're gonna take mortal wounds by virtue of just being them. Hey, this is a thing I don't like. I'm going to take a mortal wound now because I want to kill you. So, let's see. Actually, you know what I can do? We're gonna take this idea, put it over here. So, take this as an example, just as an idea, just to see how much. So, we want to do, first off, we want to do health, actually, we want to do wholeness cost, do base wholeness. So, base wholeness cost, which is going to be, base wholeness cost, which is going to be the wound severity, which is going to be minor, major, serious, and mortal. So this is going to be 1 base, 2 base, 3 base, 6 base. Actually, it's 2, 4, 6. Yeah, I think we can do that. 2, 4, 6. Yeah, 2, 4. I think 2, 4, 6, 10. Just raw health. What does this mean? That means literally, if you want to get rid of these, this is the base amount of wholeness you're going to actually have to get rid of. This is your base wholeness, your base health. That is what you're getting rid of. Which is not good. Not good for you in the slightest. So, what am I actually going to do? I'm going to put a side note. No. Escalations. So, okay, wounds for the victor. The victor may give a target a wound. May give a target a wound if they are defeated. Depending on the current chaos value, as well as, let's see, the current chaos value, escalations, and let's see, chaos value, escalations, and actually, and number of current wounds. The victor may choose to not give a wound as well. May not, and you can just say, I'm not going to wound you. Like, it's just not worth it for me to actually wound you. Or maybe, and there's going to be some times where it's like, this isn't actually a time to wound someone. We had a debate. Like, yeah, okay, I'll hurt your pride a little bit, but this isn't going to fucking kill you. So, let's see. This is going to be wound type. Wounding value, we're going to say 0 to 3. This is going to be, actually, let's do 0 to 4. 0 to 3. This is going to be a minor. Which is going to be a minor wound. That's pretty much it, which is going to be 4. If we increase it by 3 each time, which is going to be 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. That'd be 4. So we want to do 4, 5, 6. So 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. That would be 4. So we need to make that 7, which is going to be minor wound, which is going to be 2 minor wounds. Actually, no. Oh, actually, no. Increase it by 2 each time. That means this is going to be 3 to 3 to 5, 6 to 8, 6 to 8, 9 to 11, 12 to 14. And this is going to be minor wound times 2, major wound. Two minor wounds. Two major wounds. Oh, getting a phone call. Give me one moment. I love my mom to death, but she likes to talk. Also, Mr. Y, I have a problem. I have problems coming up with a very adventure-friendly worlds that aren't hyper-focused on one facet of the game. Uh, Here's the thing with adventure, like an adventure-friendly setting is a setting that allows you to do stuff in it without a clear plot. I've run across people who like try to show me their great the number of people who try to show me their awesome, cool setting, and they're like, "Wow, look at my cool setting. Look at it. It's so cool and amazing and awesome and cool and awesome." And everyone's like, "Yay! Look at it. It's so fun." I'm like, "What the fuck do you do in it?" Because it's like, well, you fight the chaos gods. I'm like, okay, what's level one like? Like the ideal like adventure friendly world is a world that allows you to do things that explore the game, that allow you to explore the mechanics or explore the setting in a way. People shit on Forgotten Realms a lot, but Forgotten Realms is that very good. Huh. Looks like Ops and Tactics is finally. Ah, looks like Melon's finally reaching the end of his vine. Well, let's see. So serious wounds. We want to do so serious wounds. So it would be 15 to 17, which would be a 2 serious wounds. And then it would be 18 to 20, which is going to be a mortal, mortal wound plus mortal. Not 18 to 10. That's 18 to 20. So the base equation is going to be chaos value. Actually, it's going to be chaos value times 2 plus what did we factor into this? Escalation, which is, and they're going to be number of escalations. Number of escalations plus chaos junctures. By just virtue of having a chaos juncture, you're going to increase it. Like mech v mech combat, but what if someone wants to do shit out of the cockpit? Like what? Because I want to pocket to it. Okay. Get away with it. Attach otherworldly tech to your aforementioned robot. But what if someone wants to do shit out of the cockpit? What about mech v mech combat and other questions? Okay, that is what I like to call a theory of the theory of focus. And there comes a point of commitment where you have to ask yourself, what is my game about? If you're going to pitch a game saying my game is a game about giant robots shooting monsters in a pocket tumor dimension, ask yourself, do you need out of cockpit stuff? Maybe. It couldn't hurt to have it. Couldn't hurt to have, if you're on base and need to do something, you roll a d10, and on a 5 plus you succeed, and on a 5, on a 4 or less you fail. Ta-da! There you go. There's your out of combat stuff. Mech versus mech stuff, is that the focus of the game? Because I think a lot of people fall into the idea that you as a tabletop game you need to have this like vast, like you need to be able to accommodate for everything. And there's some games I shit on for not accommodating it, but usually the case is this feels like it's lacking when it should be there. If your game is entirely focused on doing one thing and one thing only, that's fine. Like that's okay. If you want to make a game about giant robots fighting monsters, cool, do that. Make a giant, mech game about fighting giant bigger monsters. Focus the game around that core idea and make that core part fucking good. And like, I'll use Lancer for example. I'm not a huge like Lancer does its one thing well. Lancer does its combat well. Anything other than combat in Lancer isn't actually that good because it's like it's narrative stuff and everyone does little jazz hands and no one really gives a shit about it. But that game feels like it should have like a pretty like an out of combat thing because it's deliberately trying to emulate. Interscene and mech combat could make sense in some context that enemy mecha like monsters. Then do it. Then put those options in. Like, hey, this is like another company or something, or another group that is trying to steal your own monster parts. Here's what their mechs look like. Cool. I mean, it's not complicated to do. It's depending on how you build your monsters and stuff. Like, depending on how you build monsters and build characters, you could just use that. Like, and the thing is, everyone's going to want to do things differently. And if you put it in there, then put it in there. It's the beautiful thing about game design is that you have absolute control over whatever the fuck you want to do because that's what it does. Like you have the power to do it, then do it. Like if you want it, add it. Like in that kind of situation, you can put it in. Exactly. Like if they fit the same mechanics, that would work. If they have like very different mechanics, then it could get a little bit messy. But then you have to ask yourself, why do they have different mechanics? And is there a reason for it? Oh, monsters have, super power, have basic powers and stuff. Cool. Just replace that with parts. Cool. We fixed the issue. Like, I can get the cinematic scenes in my head and the stuff they do, but I can't get the crunch. Well, in that kind of situation, you have to ask yourself, how do I perform a basic action? What do I want to do to perform a simple action? Say, for example, in my giant mech, I want to punch the giant robot, punch the mech in the face. I just want to walk forward and I want to bonk it right on the fucking nose. What do I have to do and what do I have to roll? Is there a grid? Well, I gotta move the grid now. Okay, how do I move? Okay, we gotta do that. Okay, what do I do? What do I have to do to actually make an attack? Is it a guaranteed action? If I say it's going to happen, does it automatically happen? Or do I have to make a check for it? Well, I have to beat. What do I have to beat? Do I have to beat like an opposed check? Do they roll and I roll? Do they have like a armor class value I need to hit? Do they have a kaiju power or something I need to hit? Is there a resource I need to expend? Answer simple questions and you start getting more options. Like, say, for example, top of my head for something like this, let's say you want to make it about giant mechs fighting, giant fighting mechs, fighting mechs fighting robot. Yes. Yeah, like, again, you're thinking about it. And, like, okay, what do we want the dice to be like? Well, I want things to go fast. Well, obviously, if you want things to go fast, you don't want something with a lot of dice. If you want something pretty quick to resolve, it's not like, okay, let's roll my, it's kind of that idea of like, oh, well, I want something quick, so, like, I'm gonna roll my, roll 2d6 for my, accuracy check, and the accuracy check was successful, so I'm gonna hit. Now I have to roll all my dice together to make, if you want something fast, make it snappy. It's like, okay, they need to hit me, I want to hit them, like, okay, so, here's D100 roll. I scored a 94. Cool. And they rolled an 85. They rolled an 85. Oh no, I beat them. I'm going to do damage to them now. Simple. Took me 5 seconds. That is what mechanics are about. Mechanics are how you do things. If you want things to be opposed checks, well, that's going to take time to do things because they're going to have to make an opposed check, and from every little idea you have, you can start building off to 3d6. Yeah, pretty much. You can start building up ideas and where all the little tendrils go. Because if it's opposed checks, okay, how do they generate how do you determine how well they are, how good they are? Yeah, like 3d6 for example. 3d6 versus 3d6. Cool. We already kind of know. So let's see. I rolled 14. I did pretty good there. I got 14. Now, do I have a bonus to that? Do I have a +2? Did I roll 16, in fact? Well, or maybe they're like, oh, well, my kaiju is going to roll. He's going to roll absolutely fucking garbage. Holy shit. I rolled, let's see. See, no, this isn't too bad. I got an 8, and 11. So I rolled an 11. My kaiju's going to get hit, but my kaiju has kaiju power that I can expend to bump up the number or something. Like, every little thing you do can have a resounding amount of effects with it. Hey, you want 3d6? Well, you can play with 3d6 quite a bit for it. Play with it quite a bit. Let's say you need to get sequences. So I'm looking at this. I rolled a 1, 2, and a 6. I have a sequence of 2, because I can go 1, 2. I'm doing pretty good. Life's doing pretty poggerinos. Let's say I also have an ability that lets me like shift a dice over by 1 step. So I can move that 6 to a 3 and give me 3 successes. That is magic game design. How do you replicate what you want to replicate? So let's see, chaos value plus number of escalations plus chaos junctures plus minor wounds plus 2 times major wounds plus 3 times serious wounds So, let's say for example, we have a chaos value of 4. So automatically, our basic thing is we have an 8. We escalated 3 times. We have that. No one committed any chaos juncture. You, on the other hand, have 2 minor wounds, so you're at 13, and 1 major wound. So next we're at 15. So we go over here. Technically, you're going to take 2 serious wounds. I can willingly give you 2 serious wounds if I want to. Or I can give you a minor wound. Or I can give you 2 major wounds. Like, I can pretty much give you anything below that as well. Like, at most, I can do that. I can give you anything below it. But you aren't going to die. I can't give you a mortal wound. But if we get into another fight with those 2 serious wounds, you're at 21, and I can inflict a mortal wound on you easy. Especially when you start, jacking these numbers up. And that's why it's like these wounds are really serious, where it's like you are taking pretty significant damage. Thing is, and also, if your wholeness is 0, your wholeness is fucking 0. Like, if you bet everything on that, you're gonna die. Like, you're just fucked. What does CV do? What does chaos value do? Well, chaos value is tied to your chaos arts. So, the idea with the chaos art is that you pretty much purchase an ability at a certain chaos value, and you're allowed to use it. So, majority of the time, they're things like just like an application, a perk, or a skill. Pretty much an ability to make yourself better, or a power move. And like an example power move may be something like, we can do we'll call this Headhunter Strike, which is going to be a warfare attribute, and the entire thing is it's going to do double damage. That's what it's going to be. So if I were to say do 7 damage to you, I'm instead going to do 14 if I use that power move. But I only can use it a number of times the chaos value. Chaos value also doubles as the amount of horrifying destruction you're causing. Chaos value 1 is the area around you is a little bit blasted hellscape. By 4, the entire continent's on fire of some degree. Like, you are shattering things at this point. Mountains are exploding. You are causing destruction. By 7, the world is starting to break down, and if you progress any further than Chaos 7, the world does break down, because you're just too fucking powerful. So you don't want to do that. That's why Chaos value is really dangerous, but really tempting. You always want to raise it. And there's a completely valid option of saying, like, if you really want to get out of a fight, you jack the chaos value as high as possible, and you get the fuck out of dodge. Like, you're just like, fuck this. Victor may choose to give any lesser value of wounds, or no wounds. All certain engagements. Simply may not contribute. Let's see. Certain engagements simply may not contribute to. Actually, no. Let's see. So, how do I want to word this? Okay. A inheritor may buy off wounds by reducing their base wholeness by the value listed. They may recover gradually, but their pride will never fully recover, exposing you to be weaker. Yes, I did actually. I watched even more. I have unnecessarily watched more Dragon Ball stuff than I ever want to, and YouTube likes to remind me that I have. YouTube has been recommending me, like, oh my goodness, Notepad add-on, you've been watching Goku battles? Wowzers! I mean, come on, like, you want to watch some more Goku, right? I'm like, no, but okay. Do you want to watch this, obscure Dragon Ball thing? Not really, but here I am now. Oh boy. Make it end, oh god. But YouTube does that to me every now and again. It's like I watch a video and it's just like, you want to watch. This is the only thing you want to watch now. Like, what? All those other videos that you kind of wanted to watch, and why would you don't want to watch those. These are lame. You want to watch this one video you watched one video of. That was pretty good. But obscure Dragon Ball bullshit is also always amusing to me. Like, Dragon Ball is, like, again, one of those, like, settings that I would, let's see, yeah, Dragon Ball is one of those settings that I would love to do more, like, see a bit more in, but it's like, I understand why, like, abso-fucking-lutely nobody wants to touch that shit with the, 10-foot pole. Like, I understand why. Like, that shit's whack. Like, Dragon Ball stuff is insane. Just because, like, there's so much, like, high-powered stuff going on, and there's a lot of... I call them Toriyama-isms, just because Toriyama is... he's a great artist, great storyteller. My god, does the man have zero sense of... like... He has a very bad, I will say, sense of progression, I think would be the correct word of saying it. And by that, I mean, like, it's like, it's this, but it's stronger. Oh, it's this, but stronger. I get why, like, that's because that's what people wanted, but it's like, oh. Toriyama, no. Put down the pen, Toriyama. Toriyama-sensei, please. Black, middle, Sentado. And let's see, wound severity. Actually, I'm going to put a row above. Going to merge these together, merge cells together, and next I'm going to Archivo 12 equal the wounding value. This may seem like a lot, and it is a lot. However, like, it's not too complicated because the numbers aren't actually that serious. It's mostly a thing of like, okay, chaos value was 4, so it's 8 here. We added 3 escalations, so it's 11. We did 2 chaos junctures, so it's 13. Like, yeah, like, so, like the biggest issue with Dragon Ball is usually boils down to like it's not just simple power. No, it's God power, or it there always has to be some like a bigger threat to compensate the last big threat because the bigger threat needs to be bigger than the last big threat. And some characters just kind of get left in the dust. And I mean, it makes sense. Like, yeah, story wise, of course, Goku is like infinitely fucking stronger than everybody else because he's Goku, the main character. But it's also like, brother, please. Let's see, chaos value, number of escalations, wounding value. So the wounding value here, 2 major wounds, serious wounds, mortal wound. Cool. We'll slap an image right there. Which does bring me to... Do we do encounters now? Yeah, I'll do the encounter. Encounter's actually not too complicated. Mostly because it's literally... I'm just going to effectively copy and paste this section. Is this kind of lazy to do? Yes, it is kind of lazy. But is it exactly what it was going to be anyway? Yes. So, let's see. Inheritors don't always go to fight. Sometimes they set up fight. It is twice as important fight. It is twice as important. Encounters a non-conflict type of issue that forces an inheritor to spend time to address an issue using their abilities to sort it out as soon as possible. When an inheritor starts in after the let's see. The narrator sets a target. The narrator sets a target number as well as a time frame. The inheritor reduces the target number by their rank every point of the time frame. So, and they need to erect a magical barrier surrounding their home. The narrator sets a target number 20 and the time frame being hours. The inheritor with C rank flame contributes 8 TN every hour, so they would require 3 hours to fully erect the barrier. However, a character with rank B would only require 2 hours. Inheritors may expend core flame at 2. May expend 2 core flame. Actually, no. May expend 1 core flame to increase TN contribution by 1 for each time increase. So 1 core flame increase TN. F plus a half a TN. Yes, I'm going to have to put in a half a TN. And we need to put that below. We need to put that above. So this is going to be 18 for S minus, because S minus is actually a thing, and then S plus is going to be 22. Dragon Ball GT had its own issues. Like, that's the thing. Like, Dragon Ball GT had its own issues. Let's see. We can put put an image there, put an image there. All right. So, I think what we're going to do is we're going to call it there for today. And I am going to double check everything that I need to do. Because I know there are other things that I need to do and I need to double check. Just to make sure I've done everything. Because conflicts are done. Like, if we really look at... We scroll all the way up here. We do that. Heading 1, insert. We want to insert a table of contents. Like, philosophy of it, chaos arts, chaos infinity, winning and losing a conflict. Then we have encounters. Yeah, no, encounters that feels like it should be under something else, but I know it should be fine. Okay. Yeah, there's gonna be things like social fucking influence, but I know there's some parts of this I'm missing. I don't know what I'm missing though. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna call it there for today though, because I've been streaming for 2.5 fucking hours. So thank you all. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. There will be another stream on Friday. Friday's stream will probably be the last one, depending on how things go. Generally speaking, this wasn't too intense because I already kind of had the system in place for it. It was mostly a game of adapting everything to that system, which was the complicated aspect of it. Probably between now and then, I'm going to see if I can't make a sample character or two, just to get an idea, and that might be able to help me kind of get a better idea of what needs to be done. And that'll also help me kind of define some of the issues that I feel like I'm missing something and I don't know what I'm missing. So it's kind of that idea of like, where are you? What part of you am I not seeing? So thank you all.